Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Let's Talk About the League podcast, the only podcast on the internet that talks about the LCUS and all of its glory. I'm Ace, as always, joined this week by Kenos and our new caster, Jeff. How are you guys doing today?
Doing all
Um,
right.
yeah, I'm good, Ace. Thanks. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Doing well. We're a little bit late, but no podcast ever starts on time, so just following the trends. Um, yeah, as you guys just heard, Jeff's going to be our new caster. Hopping in, picking up some of the sets, which is going to be great for us. Jeff, why don't you tell the massive audience a little bit about yourself?
Oh, let's see. Well, pretty normal. 28-year-old guy. Been playing and following League since 2011. Jeez, can't believe I was still in college when I started this game. But yeah, haven't really played that much in the last year or so. I caught the Overwatch bug, but League had its talons deep in me, and now I'm being reeled back in. So excited to get back into it and get some casting in.
Yeah, you casted for the old house party, right?
Yeah, I did for about a split and a half. It was fun. Certainly enjoyed it. I even got to cast with flowers a couple of times, so that was cool.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I played the amateur league part of it a little bit.
The minor league.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I was
know.
actually in that for a split too. Didn't go that well, but
Yeah, we have. I think we have a few other players in the league that played back there too. So it's good to have
hmm
you here, and we appreciate the help. Uh,
yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
yeah. So we'll just get right into the swing of the normal podcast with the week three review. Started out with a 1-1 between option 12 and Cowbell, with really big performances coming out of Cowbell in the first game to really have Shaden dominate his old team, uh, option 12. Um, yeah, no, that was a pretty interesting set of games. Kenos, you casted that, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing Cowbell swing back in that first game. Option 12, of course, didn't really have the most normal of team setups in game one. Working with that Kindred and Ivern, but at the same time, I just really, it's good to see different things in the LCUS. We always make comments about the predictable picks, predictable bans, and everyone knows when Nickelbacker has a seizure when weird things are picked. So the fact that we were able to get that sort of, you know, exciting, different, unique kind of picks, it's a bit of a shame that didn't work out for option 12 in that first game, but at the same time, we did see it working. It's just that Cowbell was able to get, a secure baseline and climb back and win that game one.
You
Yeah.
mean you mean Shaden was able to climb back in game
Well,
one?
I don't want to play favorites here. It was a team effort with, 90-10, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, certainly.
Brandana had a pretty solid performance too,
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the
Absolutely. He played
first
very well on that
showing.
Israel.
Yeah, first showing of the double tier Israel in the
hmm
LCUS. Pretty cool to see. I stopped watching honestly after Kindred was like 5-0. Um,
I think a lot of people wanted to, and then they missed out on a good comeback.
yeah, definitely.
Well, the interesting thing about that, if I remember correctly, I reviewed the games quickly, is he was 4-0 and ended up being 5-4 or something. So,
Yeah, he did not get.
obviously you saw that effectiveness really fall off, whether it
Mhm.
was through the pick itself, which, personally I'm not very familiar with, or maybe the way the composition came together. But, it was clear to me that option 12 just sort of got a little bit careless about, I think it was 10, 11 minutes in, and then continued to be careless for a couple minutes, and then the Shaden train was rolling.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then game two was a pretty close game, but I think uh, Yasuo's lost two games for Cowbell so far. Not specifically the Yasuo pick, but while he's been on the team, it's been two of their losses. So I don't know. Good to see a 1-1, and good to see someone take a game off of option 12.
hmm And I do think you do have to give props to Cowbell not only for that first victory, but they were close to 2-0. which would have surprised a lot of people, I would imagine, with option 12 having been, by far the number one team so far going into that week.
Hmm. Yeah. Second set of matches was Take the Lantern versus Team Phoenix, which we saw, at least personally, kind of an upset with a 2-0. I was expecting at least a 1-1 coming out of that set, as I was on Take the Lantern. But yeah, no, that was a good set of games. Well played by Phoenix, especially with having two substitute players in the bot lane. Evil Envy is actually their full-time replacement AD carry, picking up for Port Swimmer, who has had computer issues and is unable to play the rest of the split. But
Unfortunate.
yeah,
Press F to pay respects.
and we are joined by Sig now as well, so it is a party all
It's
around.
very well in depth.
Yes.
Is Sig here?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
I am. A fun fact for our listener friends out there: it's Wednesday.
It is.
That caught me a little off guard. I lost a Monday somewhere, so if you guys find it, please let me know.
It's called Memorial Day.
Oh.
Yeah, yes, it is. That is true.
But glad I could catch up. Time travel's been fun. Please don't let me derail conversation.
Sig, I believe you were casting that middle set of games.
I was. It was very exciting to watch.
Yeah, we even saw Nivea come through, which was, I assume the crowd went wild for that.
It was pretty exciting. We really weren't expecting that on the desk.
I don't
Never
think
are.
that Lucky liked it when he got that blue taken at level 1.
I mean, that's what you got to expect when you're up against Hohenheim.
Yeah, he does it all the time. He's
He literally does it every game, and no one stops him.
taking it with Vel'Koz and Zoe and Nivea. It's ridiculous, but hey, it works for them, and they got the 2-0 with it. So, yeah, no.
Now, one thing that I did notice in game 1 that I think it might have been Sig who pointed this out during the game is that Take the Lantern didn't really run much in the way of backline access, and it really allowed the Vel'Koz and the Misfortune to just sort of rain artillery down. Do you feel like that was more bad composition choices by Take the Lantern or some nice originality coming out from Phoenix?
Personally, I think it was a lot of the Nami healing up the team for Phoenix. On Take the Lantern, they definitely didn't have any burst to just take out anyone, as you said, no backline. So just poking down with Xerath and Xayah, didn't really work out too well with the Nami.
Sure.
All right,
Yep.
and moving on to the third set, we had Team White Wolf 2-0 Team Blitzkrieg, leaving Blitzkrieg as the only team to not win a game yet, but not for lack of trying. All their games seem really close, and this game once again had 800 substitute players in it, so it's hard to actually see.
I'm gonna get in my soapbox again for Blitzkrieg, and say that they have the most potential of any team in the LCUS, and the second they get their act together and realize how to execute on objectives, they will start beating people pretty handily. Because
and if I'm not I'm sorry, go ahead.
They crush almost every early game, or at least sustain very well in almost every early game, and they just can't sustain because when they get advantages, they don't know how to pursue them. And I'm off my box now.
If I'm not mistaken, Blitzkrieg had some subs in last week as well.
Yeah, they were missing their I would call their star AD carry.
I agree with that. I think with them missing Goonstomp, they were really missing that carry potential. Not saying the sub didn't perform well, but overall, I agree with Kinos, and I think really this team is missing some solid shot calling. They have insane carry potential in the mid and the bottom lane with last split's champion Goonstomp and Chaos, but there's just no follow through. It's like they're a dog in the street. They caught a car. They don't know what to do with it.
Last split's runner.
I feel like it's worth pointing out in their defense, Blitzkrieg has played one less game than everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they still have potential to come up with 12 points, which would be more than enough to win the split. Maybe not win the split, but get them into playoffs.
Oh yeah. And fun fact, we're in the third split.
Yes.
Northern Storm didn't win the last one.
Yes.
Correct.
Someone let me out of this time rift.
Yeah, it's Tuesday, and everything's screwed up. All right. Anyone have anything else to talk about for last week, or should we move on to the patch notes?
Give me them patch notes.
All right, patch notes. I just want to touch on one thing in the jungle changes from last week. I know that in our podcast we weren't really sure how the changes were going to impact League, but yeah, definitely a lot of carry junglers out there right now, and that's a very big difference from how the LCS is normally played. Most of our junglers like to play tanks, so yeah, we're gonna see how that works out this upcoming week. But now on to 8.11, where the biggest change is gonna be Pike coming out. Have any of you guys excited about Pike?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
I mean, he looks like a more engaging Thresh, I would say. But both in terms of engage and in terms of just interactivity. Also, without having to worry about whether or not your allies are going to take the damn lantern or not. And like just the fact that they're emphasizing hit points into damage, which makes a Shen player like me perk up. But on top of that, he's got a very somewhat similar kind of hook. And I'm excited to see where he goes.
I think his hook is very special in the fact that it pulls set distance. So if you hook an adjacency, they end up behind. That's going to create some next level plays and utility. That's going to be very good.
I'm waiting for like a bot lane push against a turret, and then they hook the person into the turret over their shoulder, and they're just dead. That's going to happen within the first day the guy comes out.
Yeah.
Giving out my next level strats. Now I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned people aren't going to be used to how squishy he is, since none of his health, he doesn't get health. But once people are used to him, I think he's going to be a terror.
I don't know. I mean, I think the fact that he has that regeneration, which I believe regenerates when he goes invisible with one of his abilities as well.
Yep.
Will, like you said, I think people take advantage of that quickly. What I'm concerned about, based on the fact the video said that he doesn't have as much damage potential as other burst assassins, I'm concerned about the people who are going to try and play him mid lane and just be a more disappointing Zed.
Fair. That is fair.
Yeah,
And
personally, I'm excited for the champion. I'm always loving to see more engaged champions because that's when we get the exciting team fights that I get to yell during. So I'm all for it.
Plus more dunking. I mean, we got a new dunk champion here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he'll join Darius, and they'll just get a second skin together. It'll be fine. The other major change coming into 8.11 is AD carry changes. Mainly itemization, not much for actual AD carry changes there, but itemization wise, there's all of these crazy new items. The biggest thing that I see is for crit AD carries is that you can't really go Infinity Edge first, and that going Zeal into Infinity Edge is like 400 extra gold too. So that's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, though BF Sword is probably still going to be first.
Yeah, definitely.
Double BF Sword will probably still be first, and then they'll go crit, I would think.
Yeah, hard to say until you actually see how it goes. Some people are theorizing that AD carriers will start going Lifesteal first, because Bloodthirster and Bork are 200 gold less, but that'll push IE back to a third item, and a pretty expensive third item.
Mm-hmm.
And that pushes game clock out heavily.
Yeah. They did nerf AD carry stats. and that up until like level 10, they are weaker stat wise as well. So it really seems like they're trying to push AD carries to be better later and worse early. Which,
So for me, in theory, these itemization changes are going to be another boost for carries that build Rageblade.
yeah, yep.
Should be fun for the various players out there. One thing that I was interested about is the new item, Stormrazor. To me that screams Jin. Do you think we're going to start seeing more and more Jin?
Yeah, I think so. Like in between each of his reloads is a
Graves as well, right?
Grace would be a little bit more tricky since he has such a tank focus build,
Okay.
bruiser wise. But yeah, no, you could throw that into his kit for a third or fourth item too, and do some pretty nasty damage. Um, I would like to see. It says that that if you haven't attacked for 3 seconds, right? That's what it
Hmm.
says. But it
Yeah.
says scaling down with attack speed. So I'd like to see like an 80 carry with two 200% attack speed. Um, what how often he's going to be able to proc that? Does 200% take it down to 1 second, or is it only like 2.5 then? I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah, and it's also I mean, I think this could work as like a alternative or scarier static shiv. I mean, obviously static shiv is good for the wave clear as well, but and just the AoE damage. But I mean, static shiv is very similar in the fact that it's something that you end up using when you're chasing and maybe not necessarily attacking as much. You shoot at somebody, somebody dashes away, and you go after them. So I feel like possibly there could be, like you said, because it scales down with attack speed. When you get later to game, it's possible you could see a Stormrazor proc every 2 seconds, which could theoretically be several times during a team fight.
Oh yeah,
Turn,
that's a good point. If he,
turns every character into Caitlyn having headshots.
Right.
thanks with an extra 70 damage that they normally wouldn't have if they had another
Hmm.
zeal item. That's a good point.
Hmm.
You don't need to go 2 zeal items anymore. With Infinity Edge doubling your crit, you go 1 zeal item and you get up to 60, 70, 80, depending on what zeal item you go. Crit. You could buy another
Hmm.
Brawler's Glove and get all the way up to 100 right there. Or ignore that, have 80% crit, have Infinity Edge, Zeal item, and then Storm Rager's third. So you still have that burst damage, and you don't need to go double Zeal.
Here's a question which I'm sure has been answered, but I don't see it here on the patch notes. What happens with Yasuo?
That's actually a question in the chat too. Alan Zutaris asks, "How do you feel about the new items on Yasuo?" Um,
Well,
so
I don't. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I think the crit doubles and then it doubles again. So if Brawler's Glove gives you 10, it would give you 20, and then that'd go up to 40. So you can get 40% crit for 600 gold, I think, if you had Infinity Edge. Um,
Yeah, it actually seems like on the PBE, that was how it was, where it would double and double.
yeah.
But I'm not digging through a month worth of posts to figure out if that's still the case. What I was going to say is that I'm not sure Stormrazor would work very well with Yasuo,
Probably not.
uh,
No.
just because I mean he already has the doubled critical strike chance. He doesn't necessarily. There are better attack speed items for him, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, and so I would think that well, I don't know. Maybe I guess it would depend because he could get a 200% critical strike thanks to his passive. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what the 15% crit strike converted to true damage actually feels like. Um,
Hmm.
but no, I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think Yasuo's build is going to change very much since he'll still go Infinity Edge and 1 zeal item. Currently, he's going Phantom Dancer. So go Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, have 160% crit. So like you're wasting 60% crit. Um, but then he'll just build out of there. The Lucian and Ezreal fill a interesting role though too, because I don't know if you guys have looked into Essence Reaver yet or not.
I was actually just about to ask about that because that seems pretty crazy for Lucian.
Yeah. Lucian's the one that's mainly shown right now when people talk about it, because you can use your ult, you could just can't, you could pop it, cancel it, and then just go crazy for 8 seconds. But his ult does a crazy amount of damage too. So people are thinking someone like Ezreal who actually does want to open up with his ult or is able to, and just hop all over the place, would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I didn't. No, actually, hang on, because so you cast your ultimate.
Yes.
Your next basic attack within 10 seconds gives you the passive for 8 seconds.
Yes.
So, I mean, how long does Lucian's ult last?
That doesn't matter. You'd be able to proc it again, right? That's fine. But it just like you'd then just be wasting your ult at the start at maybe not the best time.
Sure.
That's all that's all they're complaining about. Not that it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the trade-off is worth it. I mean, the simple fact that you're going to be able to dash and double attack like 1,000 times, literally 1,000 times
Carpal
in 8 seconds. You know, geez, I don't know.
Yeah. Have you guys thought about this on people that aren't AD carries, like Jax or Xin Zhao, or let's even say Vi? Right, you ult in, and then
Fiora.
Fiora. You can just dash 800 times in a row. Well,
Yeah, that's
for 8 seconds.
I'm personally building it on Blitz.
Hooks for years.
I was actually
Knockups for days.
before you said not on ADCs. I was briefly thinking about Vayne.
Yeah, Vayne would be
'Cause, I
interesting.
mean, she could roll forever.
You do suffer the fact that you have the cooldown of your roll still, not the cooldown, but like the animation of rolling. So that will like sometimes it's better to just, if you're not trying to kite, right, just standing still to auto attack if you're trying to get out massive amounts of damage.
Oh God, hang on, hold on. Pantheon.
If you're able to get people around your ult, yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean that's the thing. I wonder because I mean, if you ult and then cancel right away, would it still work?
That's
Because
That's-
Pantheon's ult, that's the biggest
Yeah.
problem I have with Pantheon. Pantheon's ult is worthless in team fights.
Yeah.
So you ult just to proc this, cancel it immediately, and then suddenly you are throwing spears 1 a second, stunning 1 a second. Not to mention your basic attacks restoring your mana so you can stun and throw spears more.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to just delete fools, assuming that it works that way.
Yeah.
And assuming you can take something out for Essence Reaver in a Pantheon build.
Oh, 100%. His build's kind of garbage right now.
Right, exactly.
You could go
I mean,
Duskblade into Essence Reaver without a problem.
anyone who's listening to this, try this with Pantheon, and let me know how it works out for you.
Yeah. Also, I mean, even if it doesn't proc like that, you still have 10 seconds after you land. If you're like
Yeah.
sieging a tower.
You just have to get
or-
in range for one attack.
Yeah.
You can go
Maybe
off.
Run Ghost. There you go. That's interesting. Anyone have anything, any other cancer that they wanted to spread with Essence Reaver? Someone was talking about Kog'Maw. How, of course, this item has a 30-second cooldown, so Kog'Maw's ult having, a 5-second cooldown isn't like super useful, but you could still just proc it. And
Tristana, maybe?
yeah, you'd have a 22-second downtime on your. You'd be able to use your W a lot. Is pretty much what people are thinking about for him. Tristana, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the problem, of course, with Tristana is that she ults and pushes people away, but, you push away the scary threat, and then you have several seconds of free bouncing.
Tryndamere.
Tryndamere would be interesting.
Pop
It spins.
your ult and then spin away 15 times, or just kill everybody.
Well, I mean, we all know who one of the least useful characters would be on. Would be Draven, because he doesn't need too much of his cooldowns.
Yeah, because he refreshes them too when he catches the axes.
So we're not going to see Essence Reaver Draven, guys. Probably. I'm sorry.
Yes.
He'll be really good for me because I can ever catch my axes. So I'm excited, guys.
That's what it's actually here for. It's just a Draven buff.
for
For
all those.
terrible Draven.
Yeah, we gotta bring the bronze tier Dravens.
Yeah, it's like what they said for Talia, except for Draven. It's fine. There. Um, yeah, it looks like Talia got gutted a little bit.
God, so mad.
Yeah, more roaming, less wave clearing. But yeah. Anyone else have anything for this patch? Or no? No. All right, and we'll move on to the sponsor piece. This episode 4 of Let's Talk About the League, is brought to you by the Simple Soyman. This local soy foods company to the Milwaukee area has been bringing soy foods for over 30 years. You can find them at any health food store in the area. Once again, this episode was brought to you by the Simple Soyman in the Milwaukee and Madison area of Wisconsin. All right. Week 4. We have a pretty intense first match, in my opinion, between more Cowbell and White Wolf Gaming. I think if they're kind of battling for a playoff spot right now, even though it's only the third or / fourth week.
Yeah, it's crazy how few points are separating most of the places we have here. The bye week's really impacting the overall spread for various teams. But I mean, we got first and not counting option 12. So second and sixth place are all separated by just 3 points or less.
Yeah. If Cowbell 2-0s right here, they could go all the way up to second place, depending on how the rest of the week goes for other teams. For this matchup, I'm excited to see Shaden play versus RTC on White Wolf. He has really crazy picks like Teemo and Pantheon and Heimerdinger and Aatrox versus Shaden's just like shove it down your throat style in top lane.
Indeed.
Yeah, I feel like the top lane matchup is going to be almost everyone's focus after Shaden's performance last week against Option 12. White Wolf, one of two teams that has the chance to catch Option 12 in the standings this week, though, if they're able to get a 2-0. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get up near the summit.
Yeah, definitely. Also, White Wolf will have 3 players back that they didn't have last week. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually are able to like have synergy, since I guess technically it's been like 4 weeks because of the holidays since they've played together as a team, at least in the LCS. Yeah. Second set is between Team Phoenix and Northern Storm. Northern Storm is coming off an also extended break due to their bye week as well as the holidays. And they also have a new mid laner coming in for them. He played for them as a sub in the first week and now is back in week 4 as their official mid laner. Versus Team Phoenix, who just came off a massive 2-0. So.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be really interesting to see if Phoenix can win both their games and actually slip past option 12 in the first place.
Yeah, I think they're also Phoenix is on bye week next week as well, so it would be able to see who actually has the first place standing after that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, you guys said earlier that Evil Envy is a new addition to this team starting last week. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, last week obviously went very well for them. And with, another 2 weeks, thanks to that lost Monday that Sig is still looking for, where it'll be interesting to see how that synergy has improved or if maybe it was just beginner's luck with that replacement.
Yeah. Alan Z. Tardis will be back for the team as well, who is their support player. So it definitely will be interesting to see if Evil Envy and Tardis have synergy at all. And then the last set of games, two teams that went 0-2 last week. Blitzkrieg and Take the Lantern. Uh, Blitzkrieg coming back with Goonstomp, hopefully, versus Take the Lantern, whose whole team was there and has no excuses for going 0-2 versus Phoenix.
I was gonna say, Ace, are you really hopeful that he's gonna come back?
Nope.
You can tell the truth.
No, not really. He's a monster, and it was painful to play him 7 times last split. That was not a good experience.
I just want Blitzkrieg to know that I say a lot of mean things about you guys, but I still believe in you. It doesn't go for some other teams, but you guys have potential, and you need to embrace it. And doing it up against Ace would be great. So you should do that.
Screw that guy. I think that Blitzkrieg, has a lot of potential, and I think that if they just itemize a little bit better, that they'll be able to turn those leads.
Ban Anivia. Ban Anivia. There you go. Free advice.
Sig, you have anything about this series?
I'm pretty pumped for this bot lane matchup. If with Goonstomp back, he's gonna be playing into Andy. Andy, incredible run on Brew City Brawler split 1. We missed him last split, but he has a lot of lane presence, and I think with the greatest name in the LCUS, Gregosaurus Rex, it's going to be a show. You bring your chairs, we'll bring the fireworks.
I agree with you on that one, Sig. I think that I haven't seen Goonstomp myself, but hearing you guys talk about him gives him credibility. And I've played with Andy many times back when I used to play a lot more, and I think he's a very good AD carry. It should be, if we had the ability to do the focus lane stream like they do on LCS, I think that would be the easy choice.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's going to be a good week. That's on Sunday at 5:30. But we have 2 questions from the audience in the past. What's your favorite passive for a champion? Kenos, why don't you start us off?
All right. Well, my brain immediately went to my favorite champs. I'm gonna say I like Shen's passive of dealing more damage the more health he has. Primarily, I think of old school Shen, but just in general, I think that that's a really neat ability for a tank to have, because obviously you want to be tanky, but you also want to be contributing to the fight. So I like that.
Okay. Sig, what's your favorite passive?
I don't mean to sound biased towards the support role, but I got to tell you, when I play Bard, I feel like I'm playing a mini game that's hyper engaging with the bell management, with the chime management. It's just very rewarding when you're able to get ahead, farm your chimes, come back, get ahead, roam mid lane out of nowhere. It's just super rewarding, and I always feel that part of his design just wonderful.
Well, for me, I'm kind of just thinking about my favorite champions at this point. So, my go-to girl has always been Vayne, and I still think her passive just makes her so fun to play. It feels so satisfying to run down people at the end of a team fight. There's nothing more frustrating than watching somebody just limp away one hit from death, and Vayne pretty much stops anyone from doing that. So I enjoy that thoroughly.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of you, go with a different AD carry that does the same thing, and go with Jinx. Once you get that one kill, you just run down everybody else, and it's a blast. It's an explosion. Let's go with that. A question from the audience, from Gregosaurus Rex as well, actually. Who's going to be the best Pike one-trick? I think that's a biased question, as he plans to one-trick Pike. But no, that's just a good question about Pike. I expect to see him pick and banned this weekend.
Yeah, I'm seeing him banned. I'm expecting bans of him because people won't know how to play against him. So rather than deal with the unknown factor, just get him off the board.
Yep, that's always been my solo queue strategy. So
Yeah.
I certainly see it happening here.
It's it's hard to just do that in organized teams though. There's lots of target bans that are let's say must bans
I mean,
versus players.
if we're gonna see him at all, it's going to be against either Ace or Hohenheim, because everyone's so concerned about all the champions that Ace and Hohenheim play that
Mm.
they're going to be banning out 4 mid laners, and you can't save your last ban for a champion you don't know when you need to worry about something else.
I agree. A combination of those answers. I genuinely hope we don't see him in another lane. There's more than enough skilled players in the LCUS that we don't have to rely on that kind of strategy. I don't believe. And if we do see it in the bot lane, I think there's more than enough counterplay available in that utility position, especially. So he doesn't have to be as big a threat as people expect. I'm pumped to play him, and I can't wait to stomp on some noobs. But I don't think he's as much of a threat as everyone's playing him out to be. I think again we've caught new championitis, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a lot more thunder than lightning, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sig's exactly right there, where he's not necessarily going to be able to solo carry games, run away with games, as long as teams are willing to put in the time to learn that counterplay, which personally I've struggled with during my solo queue career. But yeah, as long as you're willing to put in that time, that gives you a distinct advantage over your opponents if they don't. Because not only is it that someone might ban him, but it's that only one team has to ban him. So you're throwing away a ban if you don't know how to play against him. So we'll see which teams put in the work on him.
Definitely. I could see Cowbell getting away with playing him if Mr. Pig picks him up, because you kind of have to ban Camille and Kaisa versus them. And then now with the Lucian changes, Brandana's best champion is, well, not Lucian, item changes for Lucian. Brandon's best champion in Lucian's going to be back in the meta, and hopefully. And
Brandana played a mean Ezreal last week as well.
That
So
too. You can't sleep on their carries. And the last question is, who was the most infuriating champion for you to learn? Let's start with you, Jeff.
Oh man, when you say learn, does it mean I'm still trying or that I've actually achieved it? Because I have plenty of answers for either one. Um, in terms of ones that I actually feel somewhat adequate now with, probably be Lee Sin. I spent probably at least 3 different stints trying to learn that guy, get my insects down and all that. Took me a while. And then for a little throwback to about 15 minutes ago, ones that I still suck at is the Axeman, Draven himself. Thank you, Essence Reaver. I'm excited.
Yeah. For me personally, Lee Sin was also one that I spent tons of times playing back when there was Team Builder. I think I queued up 60 times in a row with him. And now he's my most played champion, but it took a long time to get there.
A Cinderella story.
Yeah, right. And now he's garbage because wards don't exist. But that's fine. What about you, Sig?
Wow. Getting to that question.
What about you, Kenos?
Oh, I'm getting super emotional. Not to interrupt. When Gragas first went through his first major change and he saw top lane meta play, I was playing top a lot at that point, and I was looking for anything to give me any kind of advantage because I'm a garbage player. So just mechanically trying to wrap my head around his ult and not help the enemy team every time I used it. That was infuriating, but so rewarding because I do feel so good when I play him now.
Damn, I miss old Gragas.
Right. All right, Kenos, what about you?
I'm gonna go middle road from what Jeff's point was and say Yasuo, because I'm still learning Yasuo. I still, would like to get better at Yasuo, but he's not really a champion that I can really either have time or patience or will to do more of, because mid lane, if I'm doing mid lane, I'm going to be playing Vel'Koz or Swain, and top lane I'm going to be playing Sion or Shen or something. So I have no idea when I'm going to get more Yasuo time in, but he's my answer.
All That's a good answer. Cool. Cool. We have a ton more questions, but we have not a lot of time, so we're just gonna call it off here. Thank you all for joining tonight, and thank you all to our listeners for tuning into the podcast. Once again, this was the Let's Talk About League podcast. The LCUS will be back on June 3rd, Sunday at 5:30 Central Standard Time, and we hope to see you there.
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, Ace. Have a good night, guys.